In this short summary, I want to talk about why a place becomes haunted. In horror movies, also in amateur horror movies that are made and placed on YouTube, you often see those abandoned villages or abandoned houses or abandoned facilities like an abandoned hospital. And people begin to ask, how did this place become haunted now? Most of the time in horror movies, I'm talking about fiction now. Horror movies are fiction, are fictional stories. Even many of those documentaries are fiction. Let's be plain about that. You always tell, well, that something traumatic happens over there, or someone passed away, and now the spirits of the dead are hanging around. That's the common explanation. Well, first of all, there is no such thing as spirits of the dead hanging around. Once the body of a human being passes away, that individual is in Sheol, where he or she is kept till the day Christ returns and they are resurrected. And from there they will either go to the lake of fire or on the new earth. So there is no such thing as people that have passed away that are now hovering around. That's not true. Those so-called spirits of the dead are demon spirits that feed off of the negative energy that's over there. And it's true, when something traumatic happens and the energy field has been affected, it's not dealt with, that bad energy that's lingering around in the atmosphere will attract demons. Look, a building, a physical construction easily holds negative energy. I mean, when you're in a building and you seal the walls off, the sound, you can build a music studio within those sealed off walls because all the sound remains within those walls because they're sealed off. Not only sound, also smell keeps on the inside. There's another thing that buildings do. Buildings contain energy. If you have an apartment where you have a couple that's fighting all the time and there's even domestic violence, and they've lived there for about 2 or 3 years, and they leave, the next individual that wants to rent that place, they'll need to do some kind of exorcism or some kind of atmospherical cleansing of that apartment before they move in. Why? Because the walls of that apartment have kept that bad energy on the inside. So if the next individual comes and moves in, he pays the rent. He's not even married. He's not seeing anyone. He's just a businessman that needs an apartment. He paid off the rent for 6 months in advance. He did all of that. But now he's living in that house. He often has pain in his stomach, or he has pain in his shoulders. And after a while, he has to go to the hospital because he has all kinds of physical troubles. What's going on? That bad energy that was built up by all that domestic violence, all that negative meditation, that couple left, but they left behind that waste energy, and that waste energy is stuck in that building. And because the energy is stuck in that building, everyone that comes into that section of the building where the bad energy is located will be affected by it, one way or the other. So a place becomes haunted. I'm talking about houses, or even small towns become haunted when there's a lot of negative meditation going on over a long period of time. Alright? So what happens? Let's say that you have an hospital where there were satanic rituals happening. All that waste energy is over there. And let's say you had a lot of patients over there that were victims of violence. And they've carried all that negative energy to the hospital. They said after a while the hospital is filled with negative energy. That negative energy is going to affect the materials, it's going to affect the machines, it's going to affect the computers, the internet connection, everything's affected by it. So after a while, incidents begin to happen, people begin to lose it, people begin to die, and the hospital will be closed down. Now, 20, 30 years ago, you didn't have Wi-Fi and all of that, but you get what I'm saying here. The building has been affected by all that waste energy. When everyone leaves the building behind, the building begins to deteriorate. And that's how it becomes a haunted place. A place people avoid. A place that not even the government wants to put their hands on. Why am I mentioning this? It's because you need to understand that when you have a building, let's say it's an office building. Okay, let's say you are a businessman and you are in Japan and you need to have an office building for the company that you work for. The CEO wants a new building for their new office in Japan. So one day you are in Tokyo, not in the city center itself, but more on the edge near Yokohama, and you, together with some Japanese businessmen, are looking at some buildings. And then you see this building of 8 stores. It looks new and fresh, and you think, and you point to them and said, isn't this one a good option? The Japanese businessman looked and said, no, not that one, not that one. And you continue. When you're back at home in the United States, you look at the history of the building and you see that it was housed by 3 companies that rented the place. And before that, it used to be a postal office. But you realize that since 2003, the business just left and nobody bothered with the building anymore. There's no history of the building since 2003, I mean. And you think, man, it's 2017 now, 2003, that's around 14 years. Why, for the past 14 years, nobody did anything with this building? Next time you are in Tokyo, you go around the building to check it out, and you ask some of the people nearby about the building, and most of the people don't want to come, don't want to talk about it. Then you arrive at a karaoke bar, and you talk about that you're a businessman and that you want to have interest in that building. And then the owner of the bar tells you, sir, that building is haunted. About 15 years back, people became sick. People had stomach issues. Some women lost their babies. Their pregnancies suddenly was terminated. And about the female co-workers, the female employees that worked there. A lot of bad stuff were happening in that building. So suddenly, all the companies left, and there were some people that came to visit the building, to rent it. But all the people that came to the building, that visited it, after they've left, at home, they had paranormal stuff happening. They felt as if something from that building followed them to their house. So nobody wants anything to do with that building. And you begin to ask what happened over there, and the guy tells you that many of the people that worked over there were the target of envious relatives. And they had no protection whatsoever. They didn't believe in anything supernatural, anything beyond the natural realm. So those atheists that worked over there, they carried all that negative energy that their relatives threw at them. And at the workplace, all this negative energy, parts of it was left behind. After a while, the negative energy in the building began to affect the people. That people began to generate negative energy over there. So all that negativity in that building escalated. And after a while, it attracts so many entities that people really don't want anything to do with it. But let's say that you never met this bar owner. This is a man, he's not a believer, but he has knowledge of the spiritual. And he can see clearly why nobody wants anything to do with the building. That's why it's important when you want to buy a house, or when you're looking for an investment somewhere, when you want to do business, is to have someone with you who has spiritual understanding. A lot of folks, they think if you have a degree and you have the money or people to financially support you, then you're done. You can begin your business, or you can purchase your house, or you can... No. It doesn't work like that. Why not? Because let's say that you want to start your own... Let's say you are a tailor and you want to start your own shop to sell clothes, to sell carpets. let's say that you want to have, you see a spot in town and you want to rent it. But let's say you even light some candles and do some witchy stuff in order for you to get that place. And let's say the real estate even rents you it for free. Say, okay, you can have it. You can pay later. And later, they just forgot about you had even being there. And you think, well, I did my spiritual stuff, I've got it. And you even have customers over there. But then, one day, a police officer visits you and tells you that you might have to leave that building. Why? Because there are toxic bacteria all over the building. And the real estate agent has rented this building to people without informing them. So they've endangered the health of many people. And the police officer tells you even your clothes you're selling here are contaminated, probably. So all the people that bought stuff with you are also contaminated now. So when you hear this, you think, what the heck? Because here's the issue. You knew that when you do something spiritual and put some pressure spiritually on something, you might get it. And you did it. But what you got was not worth it. You enforce an outcome. And you know what? Enforcing an outcome in itself isn't something wrong. Christ did it. Okay, the apostles did it. When you pray upon someone's behalf and you cast devils, you're enforcing an outcome. So enforcing an outcome doesn't have to be wrong. When a parent disciplines a child not to talk to strangers just like that, it's because the parent wants to prevent the child from being kidnapped or talk to the wrong people. As a child, the child is very vulnerable, so the parent wants to protect the child. So the parent is enforcing an outcome. So enforcing an outcome in itself is not wrong. But you need to ask yourself, is the outcome I'm longing for worth it? Because sometimes the outcome you want is going to kill you. The outcome you want is going to destroy you. But you don't see the destruction that comes with that outcome. You're only focused on the relief, the validation of getting the outcome you want. And there are times demons will help you and assist you to get that outcome. Why? Because demons know that once you have that outcome, you're finished. So not all success is a blessing. I'm going to repeat it, not every success is a blessing. A lot of successes out there in the world are traps. Traps that people don't see for what they are. It's only after a while you will begin to see that it's a trap. Often then it's too late. There is nothing wrong with being ambitious. There's nothing wrong with it. Alright? When you're ambitious, you're driven, you're in movement. So there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely not. That's healthy. But here's the thing. Satan wants you to be ambitious on his terms. And most people, whether they're aware of it or not, they are ambitious on Satan's terms. And when you are ambitious on Satan's terms, most likely you will draw yourself. Well, I'm saying is you're not really drawing yourself because you're not doing it, but you're being drawn into haunted places and haunted circumstances. When you are ambitious in agreement with Christ, then you will avoid many traps. You will have tribulation, you will have attacks, we will have all of that. But don't let all the attacks and the resistance that you encounter fool you into thinking you are not blessed, thinking God is not with you. Okay, I'm going to give another illustration to point this out. Let's say you have two believers, a couple. They want to have their own farm and build their own estate. Why? Because they want, first of all, they want to have children, and they want to leave an estate for the children once they've passed away. And they also want their relatives to come and have a part of the estate so that more people benefit. They're not selfish. They don't just want to look for gain for themselves. They want to be a blessing unto others. The husband and wife, they're praying and praying, and they're looking for plots of lands throughout the country where they can purchase. They have around 400,000 euros to purchase a plot of land, but Then after about 5 years, they still don't have a plot of land. And they already have 2 children by now. So now the husband and wife are thinking, maybe that's not God's will. Maybe we are selfish and all of that. And then the wife hears of a classmate of hers, a former classmate of college, who now is having success in the business world. He has 5 stores in 4 different countries. He has a staff together of about 150 people. And his net worth is around 1.5 million euros. And that guy, he attended a church back in his teens. So when the wife hears this, the wife suggests to the husband, honey, let's go talk to that former classmate of mine. We were on good terms back then. He may be able to help us. The husband thinks this is not a good idea, but the husband thinks, well, they have nothing to lose. They have around 400,000 euros still. And, well, they wanted to have success, so maybe that successful guy could help them. This is what a lot of people do. They go to people who in their eyes have made it in order for those people who have made it to advise them to move on. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging if someone has an advantage that you lack and you want advice from them. If you're in college and you need to pass an exam, you can do that. If you are a footballer and a soccer player and you want to become better, you go to an experienced professional soccer player to get advice so that he can train you. So there's nothing wrong with that attitude in general, but that attitude can be a trap. And so the couple one day visit the former classmate of Gemma. The wife's name is Gemma. So Gemma meets with his former classmate. They haven't spoken to each other for a while. And the guy asked him, Gemma, what can I do for you? Then Gemma explains the whole situation. And Gemma tells him, we really want to start this estate. We've invested a lot in it. Then the former classmate tells her, Gemma, it's not really a good idea for you to purchase an estate. And then Gemma tells him, why are you saying that? The former classmate tells him, Gemma, your plan, the plan of you and your husband, there's nothing wrong with it. That you want an estate, that you will want to leave it to your children and all of that. And you also want your relatives to benefit from it. But Gemma, have you shared this dream with some people? Gemma said, yeah, me and my husband have spoken about it with our relatives and they're all supportive of it. Then the guy asked him, Gemma, you are 29 at this moment. You and your husband have been married for about 10 years. You guys married young and you guys had a full-time job at a very young age. When you went to college part-time. I was there full-time. You have saved a lot of money and your husband earned money in stock exchange several years back, and that's why you have that budget. Okay, so do your relatives and those other people know about your budget? Gemma said, no, me and my husband are keeping that private. The guy tells her, Gemma, did any of those relatives help you into looking for a farmland or a plot of land? She said, well, no, they are based, they have their own lives. Then he asked her, Gemma, what about the relatives of your husband? Did they ever show any interest in his endeavor? And Gemma was quiet. Gemma realized that, man, something wasn't right there. Then the former classmate told her, Gemma, I'm feeling that, and I'm seldom wrong about my feeling, but I can be wrong. I'm not saying this as a definite answer, but I have the feeling that if you purchase that plot of land and you build that estate, that a lot of trouble is coming upon you. Those relatives of yours and those friends, they will turn on you. They'll become homicidal towards you because your dreams are fulfilled. Gemma, it's better to change your ambitions. With I mean of you and your husband, change your ambitions. Gemma talked about what her former classmate told her to her husband, and her husband agreed with the former classmate. So the couple decided they're not going to purchase an estate anymore. They just invested in having 2 shops. That's the only thing they did. And there's another thing. That former classmate of Gemma, well, he knew something he didn't tell Gemma. He knew that there were people years back that went to fortune tellers and witch doctors to put spells and hexes on Gemma and Gemma's husband. He knew about it. He also knew that there were a lot of people that had bad blood. They call it bad blood, but they had very angry feelings that they hold on to towards Gemma. And that former classmate knew that it was all that negative meditation that caused all that hinder and with Gemma and Gemma's husband. That former classmate himself and his wife and kids are facing a similar thing. But here's the thing. Even though that former classmate is not a believer, he acknowledges the spirit world, that the spirit world is there, and he has sought for a paranormal security. And it is this paranormal security that hinders many tragedies from happening to him. Tragedies that are financed mentally by people that are envious and are against that former classmate. Now, Gemma and her husband, even though they are believers, they're not delivered, and they lack a lot of understanding. And it's their lack of understanding, their lack of knowledge, that kept them in that frustration. That's why Scripture says that my people perish due to lack of knowledge. And it's true. Because here's the thing. If that former classmate would have helped them out, they would have gotten a plot of land. They would have built that estate. But now they will have to work on the farm to keep the estate going. And they were willing to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. But because Gemma and her husband were not in agreement with Christ, even though they had the Holy Spirit in them, they were not in agreement with Christ. They operated in darkness. And by operating in darkness, they enabled all those psychic attacks against them. Now, they did not cause all those psychic attacks, but they enabled them because they operated in darkness. So if that guy would have helped Gemma to fulfill her endeavor and the endeavor of her husband, they would have had the outcome they wanted. But 10, 15 years from then, well, Gemma would have passed away due to cancer, and her husband would have been left behind with an estate where their children would be fighting about inheritance. So it wouldn't have been an outcome they really would have wanted. But because they never looked at the bigger picture, they couldn't see things coming. So again, let me close with this. Not every success is a blessing. Sometimes you're hindered where you are is for your own benefit. Yes, I'm not saying that what people are doing to you is good, no. But the Most High is using it to keep you safe. Because the Most High knows that if you would have received the outcome you've wanted, it would have destroyed you and those around you. Well, that being said, be at peace. Shalom.